Most people think their life changes when they feel more motivated. It doesn't. Your life changes when your standards change, because motivation is emotional. Standards are structural. Motivation rises and falls. Standards decide what is acceptable, what is not, and what you will do regardless of how you feel. If you tolerate inconsistency, your life will reflect inconsistency. If you tolerate distraction, your life will reflect distraction. If you tolerate broken promises to yourself, your confidence will be built on weak ground. So if you want to reshape your life, don't start by asking, "How do I feel?" Start by asking, "What do I allow?" Because the quality of your life is not built by your goals alone. It is built by the standards you enforce every single day. Standards are the invisible rules that govern your behavior. They determine how you speak to yourself when you fail, how disciplined you are when nobody is watching, how long you let a bad habit stay in your life before you confront it, how much chaos you accept in your schedule, your environment, your relationships, and your mind. And here's the hard truth. Most people are not stuck because they lack potential. They are stuck because they have normalized a level of behavior that keeps producing the same life. They say they want excellence, but they accept average routines. They say they want peace, but they keep feeding stress. They say they want confidence, but they repeatedly break trust with themselves. You cannot build a powerful life on low personal standards, and you cannot become someone new while protecting the habits that belong to your old identity. So the first step is simple, but uncomfortable. You have to audit what you currently tolerate. What do you let slide? What do you excuse? Where have you become soft, passive, or negotiable? Maybe you tolerate being late. Maybe you tolerate unfinished work. Maybe you tolerate digital addiction, shallow thinking, weak boundaries, poor health choices, or a constant lack of focus. And maybe the biggest thing you tolerate is internal. Maybe you tolerate self-betrayal. You tell yourself you'll wake up early, and you don't. You say you'll train, and you skip. You say you'll focus, and you drift. You say this week will be different, and then repeat the same pattern again. That cycle doesn't just cost progress, it damages identity. Because every time you fail to enforce a standard, you teach yourself that your own word has no weight. If you want to reshape your life, you must raise your standards in a way that is specific, not vague, not dramatic, specific. A real standard sounds like this. I do not miss planned workouts unless I am genuinely sick. I do not start my day on my phone. I finish what I schedule. I do not stay in relationships where respect is absent. I keep my space clean because disorder weakens my mind. I speak to myself with discipline, not indulgence. I do hard things before comfort. That is what standards look like. They are measurable. They are behavioral. They are enforceable. A weak standard is a preference. A strong standard is a boundary. And the moment a standard becomes non-negotiable, your identity begins to reorganize around it. But raising standards is only half the equation. The real transformation comes from enforcement. Because a standard without enforcement is just a wish. Enforcement means there is a consequence when you violate your own code. Not self-hatred, not drama. Consequence. If you skip the workout, you make it up the same day. If you waste the morning, you remove the distraction at night. If you break your focus block, you restart the cycle with more discipline tomorrow. If an environment keeps pulling you beneath your standard, you change the environment. Enforcement means your future self is no longer at the mercy of your present mood. This is where self-respect is built. Not from saying, "I believe in myself," but from proving again and again, "When I set a standard, I live by it." Confidence is not positive thinking. Confidence is evidence. And this is important. Do not try to raise every standard at once. That usually comes from emotional urgency, not strategic clarity. People get inspired, declare a complete life overhaul, and then collapse under the weight of too many promises. Instead, choose the standards that create the greatest structural change. Start with the standards that govern your energy, your sleep, your body, your focus, your environment, your word. Why? Because these are foundational. When these become strong, everything built on top of them becomes stronger. A person who sleeps with discipline, trains consistently, protects focus, and keeps promises to themselves is already becoming dangerous in the best sense. Not through intensity alone, but through internal order. Reshaping your life is not about becoming extreme. It is about becoming aligned. You also need to understand that standards are contagious. The standards you hold shape the people you attract, the work you produce, the opportunities you notice, and the identity you reinforce. If your standard is low, you will keep negotiating with less than you deserve. Less effort, less truth, less excellence, less peace. But when your standard rises, certain things begin to leave your life. Excuses become embarrassing, disorder becomes obvious, mediocrity becomes heavy. Misaligned relationships become harder to maintain, and what once felt normal begins to feel unacceptable. That is not loss, that is refinement. A higher standard will cost you comfort, convenience, and sometimes approval. But it will give you something far more valuable, a life that actually matches your potential. There is another layer to this. Your standards must exist even when there is no external reward. Anyone can be disciplined when they are watched. Anyone can perform when praise is close. Anyone can push for a week when emotion is high. But real standards show up in silence, in ordinary mornings, in lonely repetitions, in boring consistency, in the moments where nobody would know if you cut corners, except you. That is where character is formed. And character is what carries a life when motivation disappears, when results are delayed, and when the world gives you no immediate validation. If your behavior depends on applause, your standards are still outsourced. But when your behavior is governed by your own code, your life begins to stabilize from the inside out. So ask yourself, what kind of life would become possible if your standards truly matched your ambition? What would happen if you stopped negotiating with the habits that are making you weak? What would happen if you became the kind of person who follows through, cleans up, speaks clearly, protects time, honors discipline, and refuses to drift? Your future is not waiting for a perfect breakthrough. It is waiting for a stronger baseline. A stronger baseline for what you eat, for what you consume mentally, for how you work, for how you recover, for how you allow others to treat you, for how you treat yourself. The life you want is often hidden behind the standards you have been unwilling to enforce. Not because change is impossible, but because change costs identity. You have to stop being available for the version of you that keeps settling. So here is the shift. Stop asking whether you are capable of a better life. Start acting like a better life requires a better code. Raise the standard. Then protect it. Enforce it in small things. Enforce it when tired. Enforce it when tempted. Enforce it when no one is watching. Because every enforced standard sends a message to your mind, I am no longer living accidentally. And over time, those messages become identity. That identity becomes behavior. That behavior becomes results. And those results become a life that feels disciplined, clear, and self-respecting. You do not need to become a different person overnight, but you do need to stop giving old behaviors permanent permission. Your next life begins where your excuses lose authority. So decide today, what is no longer acceptable? What becomes non-negotiable now? What standard will define the next version of you? Because the moment you stop merely admiring a better life and start enforcing the standards that create it, your life begins to reshape itself around your decision. And that is where real transformation starts. If you found this video valuable, take a second to like it. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Drop a comment with your thoughts. And hit that subscribe button for more content like this. Thanks for watching.